Good afternoon and welcome to this live interactive telephone town hall with Pennsylvania Labor and Industry Secretary Jerry Oleksiak and UC Benefits Policy Director Susan Dickinson. My name is Dirk and I'll be moderating today. Now the goal of these calls is to provide you with helpful information and answer your questions and keep you updated on Pennsylvania's unemployment benefits programs during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, as I mentioned, this is an interactive forum, and we would love to hear from you. We'll be taking as many questions from participants as we possibly can live during this call. If you have a question, you can press *3 on your telephone keypad at any time, and you'll be placed in line to speak with a member of our staff. They'll take down your name and where you're calling from. Then, the next time you hear your name, you will be live on the call and able to ask your question directly. If you are streaming the call on our website, you can simply type your name and question below the streaming player. We will do our best to answer as many questions as we possibly can today. And again, to ask a question, please press *3 on your telephone keypad. We do receive a lot of questions during these live calls, so if we're not able to get to your question, please send us an email at uchelp@pa.gov. We'll now kick off this call with opening remarks from Secretary Oleksiak. Secretary, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Dirk, and good afternoon, everyone. We appreciate you being with us today for our 16th virtual town hall, and we're glad that you're here. Let me give you some updates on our numbers. Since March 15th, litigation efforts began related to the virus. We've paid almost $26 billion in unemployment benefits. That's billion with a B. And that includes our traditional program, all of the programs related to the CARES Act, and the extended benefits programs. 97% of our eligible claimants who filed for the regular unemployment compensation between March 15th and August 1st have either been paid or have been determined to be not eligible for benefits. So we are catching up. I'm sorry, that's not August 1st, that's September 1st. So we're doing a good job in extending those weeks and getting to the people who have the older claims. The remaining 3% of those claims are claims that our automated system just could not approve for many reasons, and our staff is reviewing those individually. We have increased our staff significantly since March 15th. We've gone from 775 employees in our UC Service Center operations to our current total of over 1,700. And those folks are working very hard thus far. We've put in 294,000 total overtime hours since March 15th. And our response numbers are improving. We just crossed the 1 million mark in the number of emails that we have responded to since March 15th. And when we put in our phone calls and live chat and virtual assistant, we're close to 2 million contacts we have made with our fellow Pennsylvanians. And as we tell everybody every week, that doesn't mean anything if you're on the wrong side of those statistics, and we understand that, and we're doing all we can to make sure that we improve on those numbers and get to the folks that are still waiting to hear from us. Have some key updates on the Lost Wages Assistance Grant that we received. This is the extra $300 per week that had been approved retroactive to August 1st. And as we've said all along, this is a temporary program that really isn't an unemployment benefit program, but it is funded through FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. The guidelines for the Lost Wages Assistance Grant stipulate that the program will run through December or until funding is depleted. And we just learned this week from the U.S. Department of Labor and FEMA that the claim week ending this past Saturday, September 5th, will be the last week for those benefits. Unfortunately, that means that no payments will be made for any claim week after September 5th. This decision by FEMA impacts lost wages assistance dollars only. No other employment benefits programs are affected. And again, this is not a labor and industry program. We are administered here in Pennsylvania, but this is a federal program run through FEMA. So we're urging anyone, who is partially or fully unemployed due to COVID-19 and hasn't already applied for these benefits to apply as soon as you can. You can do that on our website, uc.pa.gov/cert, uc.pa.gov/cert. We will continue making those retroactive payments for the claim weeks of August 1st through September 5th for the foreseeable future. Individuals who qualify and have already applied will receive one lump sum payment for the claim weeks between August 1st and the week ending September 5th. Those claimants could begin receiving an extra $300 benefit as early as next week, September 14th. However, it's extremely important for you to know that not everyone will receive payment on the 14th. The actual date you receive your payment will depend on factors that are really outside of the control of labor and industry, such as how long it takes your bank to process the payment and other things like that. Also, after benefits are paid from a qualifying program to an individual for any of the approved dates, the payment will follow 1 week later if the individual has already completed the certification. As a reminder, to qualify for that extra $300, the LWA program requires that eligible individuals must have a benefit rate and dependence allowance totaling $100 or more per week in benefits, and must receive a benefit for each week from one of the following qualifying programs. That's our regular UC program, the Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation Program, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, the Pennsylvania Extended Benefits Program, the Shared Work or Short-Time Compensation Program, and the Trade Readjustment Allowances. Individuals receiving benefits from those programs, with the exception of Pua and Shared Work, will need to apply for the lost wages assistance by certifying one time only that their unemployment is due to COVID-19. And again, that's at uc.pa.gov/cert. We completed implementation of the program several weeks ahead of schedule and began accepting applications for benefits this past Sunday. So we were happy to get that done ahead of schedule. Applicants with computer and internet access should apply for the benefits online. The online application will become available when applicants apply for their biweekly claims. Simply log in as you normally would, when you normally would, to access the application. So again, to complete that process, you go on to uc.pa.gov/cert, log in using your PIN as if you're filing a biweekly claim, select complete LWA certification, and fill out what's there online for you. This only needs to be done once, and then you'll receive your back pay. Applications are also available for individuals who cannot apply online. This week, UC began mailing, our Unemployment Compensation Office began mailing applications to claimants who did not provide an email address for us. Individuals who may qualify for this assistance but have not yet received payment for an approved week from a qualifying program should still apply as soon as possible. I know that's a lot of explanation, but if you go onto that website, it will all it's all explained right there, and then Susan can answer any questions when we're ready for that. We'll continue to do these weekly town halls, and we'll continue to update you on this particular piece of the program and any other questions that come up. We are still, as you know, battling the fraud related to the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. This is a national fraud ring that we have been dealing with since actually the Memorial Day weekend. And we have been hearing from many of you saying that you're experiencing delays from the time you apply for the Pua benefits until you are approved and payments begin. We want you to understand that this is due to the extra steps that we and other states now have to take to verify applicants' identities to ensure that we've received a legitimate Pua claim rather than one that is fraudulent. We know that this is frustrating, and I can't stress enough how important it is for us to complete these extra steps so that the real people like yourselves who are out of work because of COVID-19 get the benefits that you are entitled to. The bad guys are slowing up this process, and we're doing all we can to speed it up. So please remain vigilant. Look for the signs of a scam, and know what to do if you're a victim of fraud, go to uc.pa.gov/fraud to learn those warning signs, how to report fraud, and what to do in case you do receive fraudulent benefits. That's the updates that we have, and Susan and I will now be happy to take questions. Dirk?
Secretary, thank you for providing that very informative update to us. Now, as a reminder, if you have a question, please press *3 on your telephone keypad to enter the question queue. And our first caller, we've got Carolina joining us on the line. Go ahead, Carolina. Welcome to the call. What is your question?
Last week, I was the last person to ask that question, the loan question, and I'm here back to beg for you guys, and I'm talking about not just for myself, but I'm talking about for all those people that I'm looking on the Twitter, on the Facebook that complain about what's going on. I'm looking and I'm telling again that I'm seeing an increased number of people that their claims are being ghosted. I'm asking and I'm begging for you guys, please. I'm asking, please, just go ahead and fix that. It's so frustrating and I don't have any money. Please. I don't know what to do anymore, and I already sent out the paperwork. I already sent it out my proof of documentation a long time ago. I already sent it everything that is necessary for proof that me is me and I'm a real person. I think that if you guys put already more people to work to fix that, you should put more. It's not enough because I did it until today. I counted 1,870 and about more than 1 million calls, and I never got through. I cannot reach no one. I can, and I think that it's some people out there, families that need the help. What can I do?
Susan?
Well, let me start, Dirk.
Okay, Secretary.
We understand. We feel that frustration. We are frustrated too. This has been. We understand that this has been very difficult for everyone. I've said on these calls before that I have family who have been impacted by this. We know the pain and the anguish and the fear that people feel about this. We have done all we can given the parameters of the system that we have to work in. We have more than doubled our staff. We've done over close to 300,000 hours of overtime. We have brought in outside vendors. We've brought in, we've hired more Spanish language speaking interpreters to help people who don't speak English or have trouble with English. We have borrowed people from other government agencies. We have expanded our technology. We have built the systems that we needed to build during this time of the pandemic, and done it with our staff working from home. So we understand that it's very frustrating, and we said all week that, every week, that you're not on the right side of that 97%, or if your Pua application has been flagged for potential fraud, we know how difficult that is. We know that that's a problem for people, and we are working with our staff, with our vendor, with the state legislature, with the governor's office to bring in more help, and it's a numbers issue. We're doing what we can as quickly and as effectively as we can, and we do understand your frustration. Susan, I don't know if you want to get more specific with anything.
Actually, I do, only because Carolina had mentioned right in the beginning, I think she had mentioned she was our last caller from last week. And I remember that call because after we hung up the call, I remember thinking, I wanted to say something else. So very specifically, about your unemployment issue or your situation. I remember it was a long question. There was a lot of moving from state to state. And the only thing I wanted to add last week was that if you weren't working in Pennsylvania at the time the pandemic affected you, you actually wouldn't be eligible for PUA in Pennsylvania. You had to be working in Pennsylvania when you were affected. So if you haven't worked in Pennsylvania, you would want to file Pua in the state in which you were actually working when the pandemic began. So I just wanted to offer that to her in case, that describes her situation. I can't quite remember the situation, but in order to be eligible for PUA in Pennsylvania, you had to be working here when the pandemic started and you were affected. So it might actually be that you need to apply in, and I cannot remember which states. I think Massachusetts, maybe there's some other states involved. So wherever you were, where you were working when the pandemic started, that is where you would want to file a PUA application. So I just wanted to clarify that, not just for Carolina, but for anyone else who may be listening. You had to be working in Pennsylvania at the time you were affected in order to qualify for PUA in Pennsylvania.
Thank you very much, Susan. Next on the line, we've got Peter joining us. Welcome to the call, Peter. Go ahead with your question, please.
Hey, folks. Thanks for taking the call and everything you're doing. Just two quick questions. Number one, if I already file my claim with Pua every week, is that $300 additional automatically? Is that going to automatically get dispersed, or do I need to do additional steps? And then it sounded like on the call, my second question, you said something about that $300 ending earlier this month, and I was wondering if it's supposed to go till December. Is that just the funds have run out, or did I mishear? Thank you.
Hi, Peter. So to your first question, there's nothing, since you are a PUA claimant, there's nothing specific that you have to do. We already have the information we need from you as part of the PUA program. So we will just start making those payments to PUA individuals, shortly. We've been collecting for individuals who are on regular UC. We opened up the application to them. It's available when they go to file their biweekly claims, and then they can fill it out, and we'll start making payments as well on those. So for PUA, there's nothing special you have to do. And to your second question about what the Secretary had mentioned in his opening remarks, it is correct that it is actually ending September 5th instead of December because of the funds running out that FEMA had set aside for this program. So it was that brings it to a total of 6 weeks. It was just a 6-week program from, the beginning of August, week ending August 1st through the week ending September 5th. So those will be the 6 weeks, the 6-week span that we can pay for anyone who does apply for it. Or, of course, if you're a Pua claimant, if you are on Pua, we will be paying those 6 weeks altogether. Technically, Pennsylvania hasn't received our approval for the week ending September 5th quite yet, but we anticipate it will be. Generally, those are automatically approved. It just takes a couple days. So that will be one big lump sum at the time we start making the payments.
All right, next up, we've got Lori joining us. Lori, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Hi, I wanted to know, I originally applied for unemployment in April. I quit my job because I got COVID, but I was denied. I didn't have enough quarters. But after the quarters changed in July, I was told I had to reapply for unemployment. I'm still waiting for a decision. I did get a financial eligibility letter, but I haven't received an approval. Since I quit my job because of COVID, would that disqualify me for regular unemployment?
Hi, Lori. That is a great question, actually. So there's a rumor out there in the world that if you quit your job, you're not eligible, or if you're fired, you're not eligible, or you are eligible. And it's actually not that simple. Whether someone quits or is fired, it all depends on the facts of the case, and it all depends on why it is exactly that they're not working anymore, like which party instigated the dismissal or the quit. And the reasons behind it, so the adjudicator who looks at the case will ask very detailed questions about the situation. They'll speak with you, they'll speak with the employer, and then they'll actually may have to go back and forth between you again in order to, get the story straight and figure out what happened. So that part, takes a while to get back and forth between the parties. Now, you had mentioned that you qualified with the quarter change in July, so that would be for regular UC. That would be, the effective date that they would be looking for. I do want to mention that if you weren't financially eligible before July, you could have PUA eligibility prior to that. The PUA program is designed for individuals who don't have enough wages to qualify for regular UC. Largely, it's mostly self-employed individuals who don't have enough wages because they don't report wages to the state of Pennsylvania as part of being self-employed. But it also includes anyone who is a traditional employee who simply does not have enough wages in order to do that. Now, of course, they would still have to look at your situation as to why you quit, et cetera. You had mentioned that you had COVID yourself, and that is actually a qualifying reason in the PUA program. So for the duration that you did have COVID and could not be able and available to work, you could actually be eligible for PUA weeks for that duration. So you can certainly, you're on your regular unemployment claim now, just waiting for us to make a decision and issue a decision to you. If the examiner makes you eligible, then they will simply release the weeks that you've been filing ever since July, every 2 weeks. If you're denied, they will issue your denial to you and they will cancel those weeks so they won't be paid. And then you have a chance to appeal. But in the meantime, if you haven't applied for PUA and you are interested, you can do that. Now, right now, if you were to open a claim, it will make your claim effective this particular week. It's not going to reach all the way back there. You would have to send us a separate email to ucpua or at pa.gov, ucpua at pa.gov, just to explain what your situation is and what you're looking for regarding payment. And a staff member would then have to reach out to you and take your information for the weeks in which you're looking for payment. Let's say there are weeks in March or weeks in April. They'll ask you week by week, continuing claim questions, just like you do when you file biweekly, and then they'll be able to submit payments for you.
All right, moving on now to a couple of online questions. The first one was submitted by Veronica, and she asks, if you receive regular UC, not due to COVID, can you still apply for LWA if now you can't find a job due to COVID?
And the answer is actually yes, as long as the overarching requirement for the LWA program is that your unemployment, for the weeks that you're seeking payment are due to COVID. So as long as there is a reason that COVID is being your barrier to having employment, then you can do that. So when you're presented with the question, in the online application, you can just say, that you are seeking this benefit and that you are, interested because you are unemployed due to COVID, and that would be a qualifying reason.
All right, the next online question, this one comes from Josh. Are there any extensions to PUA being talked about?
Hi, Josh. I have not heard of any PUA extensions.
There are none that I'm aware of, Dirk. I know, Congress is talking about what they might be able to do, but there's been no agreement reached as far as PUA or the MPUC program or anything like that.
Thank you, Secretary. And Susan, did you have more to add to that?
No, that was pretty much it. So far, all the CARES Act programs are still standing as they were before, so nothing's been extended.
Okay, thank you to both of you. Another online question. This one was submitted by Ken, and Ken asks, are there any guidelines on how much can be transferred to a bank from the Relia Card each day? I see many people are getting their card locked when attempting transfers.
I do know that there are limits per month, so I would imagine that daily transfers probably would be too much if you were trying to transfer something every day. But I remember in the beginning of the pandemic, and I'm sorry, off the top of my head, I do not remember what the limit was. I remember they did raise the limit just because of all the extra money, especially the extra $600 that everyone was getting, made it, imperative for them to raise some limits on things so that people could get all of their money off the card. So there are limits. So I know if you are trying to do it daily, you wouldn't be able to. I believe you can do it weekly, however, but I don't know what the dollar amount is exactly. But you'd be able to, continue drawing that week after week until you're able to get it all off of your card. But the bank's website, U.S. Bank's website, they do have information about that. They have, if you remember when you received your card, it came with some information from U.S. Bank as well about these things. They do have all of that information and the limits. I forget what they call it, but there's like a required form that they send with all of that information that they have to tell people what the fees are for various things. That would have the information on there, and of course their website would as well.
All right, going back to phone questions now. We've got Susan joining us. Susan, welcome to the call. What is your question?
Hi, I would like to know, how is it that if you were determined one rate at the beginning of this unemployment, how did it change after 16 weeks of collecting it? Because after not getting it for 6 weeks, found out how to upload a driver's license and stuff, uploaded it, and then all of a sudden, 6 weeks later, it's saying that you are overpaid. Why did that happen, and how do you correct this?
Hi, Susan. Without looking at it, I don't know specifically, but I can take a guess that it may be if you have a rate that was higher than $195 per week, then in order to get that rate, you had provided when you opened your claim quarterly wages from your self-employment and said what they were each quarter, and then we set your rate based on that quarter. So in the Pua program guidelines from DOL, you have 21 days then to upload documentation to support the additional wages that you told us that you had per quarter. So then we have to, look at that documentation, make sure that it matches and that it supports, the additional wages that you said you have. And if it doesn't, then we have to lower it down to either the minimum, which is $195, or if we had enough, to show at least some raise in the rate, then we could keep that. But in any case, the PUA program is much like our disaster unemployment program, where when it comes to financial eligibility, there's no 15-day cutoff like there is with regular UC, where final is final. We use that phrase a lot. Final is final. In Pennsylvania unemployment, after 15 days, determinations become final. The PUA program and the DUA program are different in that we have the entire period of the disaster to make changes to financials, whether that's increasing or decreasing. So an individual who only started at the low rate, let's say, all the way back in March or April, and they, just now are getting their documentation together and giving it to us, we can actually increase their rate now. But it works the other way as well. So if we didn't get the documentation needed to support a weekly benefit rate that's higher than $195 a week, we have until the end of the disaster period to lower it. We're actually supposed to do it as of day 21. Of course, as you can imagine, we have a lot of volume, a lot of claims to check. So it may not have happened right away, but it will happen by the time staff get to your claim and they review everything. So if this is the case, and again, without looking at your claim, I don't know for sure, but from what you're describing, that sounds like the situation. It sounds like we just need the documentation. So it's not necessarily, all is not lost. If you just provide the documentation showing what your net income was for those quarters to match what you gave us, we can then raise your rate again, and there'll be a new financial determination, and the overpayment will go away, and if we've garnished any money from that, then that would be back in your account. So that's all we would really need is to make sure you upload the documentation. And I say this every Thursday, and I want to remind anyone who is on the PUA program that when you upload documentation to your dashboard, there's nothing that tells staff you've uploaded anything. So you do have to email us separately to say what you've uploaded and say what it is that you're looking for. If it's a monetary issue like this, you would just want to email our regular ucpua@pa.gov account. If it's anyone sending us their a notification that they've uploaded a driver's license or something like that, that's our DLI Verify account. That's DLI Verify at pa.gov. So we just have those two different emails for our PUA program. It sounds like this one is the monetary issue, so all we need is the documentation, and you'll be good to go.
All right, next up, we're joined by Barbara. Barbara, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Thank you very much. I think actually you answered my original question. I was unemployed in December. I worked for a family entertainment center, but since they shut down all the, arcades, bowling alleys, all that kind of stuff, I'm definitely unemployed due to the disruptions of COVID. So I'm correct that I am eligible for LWA. Is that correct?
Right. If your unemployment is due to COVID, even as the example from before, even if you weren't in the past but you are now, or you are now, maybe you won't be in the future. But as long as for those weeks that you are seeking payment, you are due to COVID, then you would be fine for the LWA program.
All right. Moving on, we've got Amber on the line with us now. Amber, welcome to our call. What is your question?
Okay, so I live in Pittsburgh. I was a server at a Chinese restaurant, and I worked January, February, March 11th was my last day because things started falling. The COVID hit, business declined, they cut everybody. I applied for regular UC, was denied. Applied for the PUA, was approved. I waited forever to get my money. Finally, in July, I got my money. And then I misplaced my username password. I went and found it. So when I found it, I went in and did all my claims. But now it just says my payment's in progress. It's been in progress for the last 8 weeks. And I'm stuck. It says there's no outstanding issues, 2 open issues. I uploaded my ID, Social Security card, and a copy of a bill. I can't get a person, and I'm losing hope. Can somebody help me?
Hey, Amber, it sounds like it might be an identity verification check, and you did mention that you had uploaded, the documentation that we need. So it's probably just a matter of us getting to it. We are actually going to have our IT group, as they did back at the end of July, they're going to do a mass release for us of anyone who has sent us an email and uploaded their information. That way you're not waiting much longer. It's just a large volume of these things that have been coming into us, so it's been difficult to keep up. So pretty soon we expect everyone's benefits, to be released who sent us some sort of documentation. They've uploaded their documentation and sent us an email. And we are also working with the outside vendor on some additional, a different verification check so that, the whole thing goes a lot faster. And, individuals don't have to wait for us to look at everything on an individual basis. We do, I want to mention, have a group of people. We're always looking at getting outside help and temporary help. We do have 25 more people starting on Monday to help with these Pua issues. So we're going to be very quickly training them and getting them to help get through all of these volumes of claim checks and things that we need to do because it is voluminous. So hopefully that'll start speeding things up a little bit. I do also know for anyone who's listening who needs any type of Pua help, week after week the phone calls actually are getting better. They're going down more. So we're, the amount of people calling us is going down more because we're able to handle more and take care of claims. So it does get better each week. It's took a while to get staff, get them trained, but now they're in their groove and they're able to take care of a lot of claims issues. So we keep adding them as we can. So we've got another 25 starting next week.
All right, we're moving on to an online question. Relia asks, how do I know if I can qualify for PUA if my UC is about to run out?
So actually, PUA would not be the program you would go to if UC is about to run out. Your UC, when that regular UC runs out, you would be going to the PEUC program. That's simply a 13-week extension of the regular unemployment program. And what happens is generally about 2 days after your money runs out on regular unemployment, our system creates a PEUC claim for you. And the next night it generates a financial determination, which you'll probably get in the mail a week or two later, just because mail's going a little bit slower right now around the country. That's not, related to Pennsylvania. So you would just keep on filing your biweekly claims, the way that you normally do, and you'll be able to claim the PEUC benefits. And that is PEUC is I don't want to say exactly a guarantee. You still have to, make sure that you meet all unemployment criteria, but it's a guarantee in that there's no additional financial qualifications for it. So you go straight from unemployment to PEUC. At the end of PEUC, there is an extended benefit program that is also currently active for up to 13 weeks. And there is a financial qualification for that. Very few people don't qualify, but I do like to mention it just so that individuals understand it's not guaranteed. They could be one of those few people who are affected by the financial qualification. So for right now, you wouldn't be going on to PUA. And actually, anyone who has gone through a 26-week UC claim, a 13-week PEUC claim, and someday when they finish a 13-week extended benefit claim, they wouldn't have any PUA entitlement because the PUA program requires us to subtract from the 39 weeks of PUA entitlement. We are required to subtract any UC and extended benefits entitlement. So that actually generally totals to 39 weeks for most people. So that would already wipe out someone's PUA entitlement. But really, if you're on the UC track, you'll have UC, PEUC, and then EB, and that takes you for about a year's worth of benefits.
All right, another question from online. This one was submitted by Jonathan. And Jonathan asks, how long typically does the identity verification process take for PUA?
Hi, Jonathan. It was taking us about 6 to 8 weeks, but you're about to see that change. It's going to be much shorter once we do get the additional help and the IT help. We're trying to get to a place where there's no backlog at all, that it's something that you can submit what you need, and then it's like an instant approval. So we're working with IT on trying to make that happen. But in the meantime, it is taking several weeks. So, we're getting there. We're getting extra help, and, hang in there. We should be on those emails shortly, and making sure that, things are cleared, and that if you didn't upload something that we need, that we will have to reach out to you and get, the additional information. But for the most part, I do actually want to, now that you've mentioned this, I want to bring up a reminder to anyone who is in this situation not to email your documentation to us. You want to upload your documentation to your dashboard. Don't send it in email. Simply send us an email to tell us you've uploaded it. That's all the email is.
All right, and Don submitted a question online, and Don asks, how do I make a PUA overpayment?
So Don, you can, what happens, there's two different things that generally happen. If you continue if you continue claiming PUA benefits, the system is just going to offset your overpayment with the future benefits. So, an example that we use a lot of times is if you have a weekly benefit rate of $300, you accidentally got paid $600. You actually just got more money up front, and then we just deduct it for the next few weeks until it's satisfied. So you can either do it that way, like if you're going to keep claiming, that's actually just easier to let the system do it automatically. But if you do have, I know a lot of times individuals do have very large overpayments because they may have been paid a lot of weeks at once or something along those lines, and you do want to actually send us a check for it. There is an address on our website in our Contact Us page. I'm going to actually look it up very quickly. And what you can do is just send a check to this area for the amount that is your current amount. If you look on your dashboard, there is a section there for overpayments, and it will show you what your current outstanding amount is. Now, of course, the part of the problem is by the time we get it, you may have had, if you're continuing to claim PUA benefits, you may have already had another week claimed and another deduction, so you've actually sent us a check for more than we need. If that does happen, then what we do is we just issue a refund, but it might not happen very quickly. I want to make sure that individuals understand that, especially because we are, getting a lot more of these that we need to handle. So if you do send a check, if you're not claiming benefits anymore, then it's easier. We know the amount's not going to change. But if you are actually still claiming benefits, it'll probably change week to week as you keep claiming benefits and as the system makes deductions. So the address for the sending your overpayments is the Office of Unemployment Compensation Benefits, UI Payment Services, and that I just want to mention UI stands for Unemployment Insurance. Unemployment Insurance is the program. So Unemployment Insurance Payment Services, Post Office Box 67503, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, 17106-7503. And if anyone is listening and didn't quite get that, you can look on our website, www.uc.pa.gov, and click on the frequently asked questions. And there's claimant frequently asked questions there about overpayments. There's a frequently asked question about, where do I make payments on an overpayment by a check or money order? And it provides that address right there.
Very good. Next on the line, we're going back to the phones. We've got Jason joining us. Jason, go ahead with your question, please.
Hey, how you doing? I was wondering. I was collecting a PUA for 6 weeks, and they just cut it off. I was wondering, was it because I had to upload my ID, or I uploaded that 9 weeks ago? I was wondering what's the problem. Are they doing that with everybody, or just certain individuals?
Hi, Jason. That is actually, it may not be everybody, but it is a lot of individuals who we still have to verify their identity. So that is why, only because there's, tens of thousands of individuals who we have to verify. So as I mentioned earlier, we are going to make some strides very soon as we're going to have some mass releases done and try to get these payments made and get the identity issues verified so that you can just proceed with your claim. So it has been quite a while that some of these have been waiting for some action, but we're about to make some progress very soon.
All right. Next on the line, we've got Tia. Tia, welcome to our call. What is your question?
Hi, yes. I was on unemployment prior to pandemic. When I applied in January, because I had time on my 2019 claim, they reopened my 2019 claim, closed my 2020 claim. 2019 claim ended May. When I applied for the extension, they told me that I had to reopen my 2020 claim. The agency that I am contracted from, they've received the documentation on the 3rd of June. They sent whatever they need to send back. As of mid-July, I'm still waiting on a separation determination. Nothing changed. Matter of fact, I'm on point to start an assignment with the same agency at the end of the month so I can stop collecting unemployment. But in the meantime, I haven't collected anything since May. And I have over 7 claims in, which total over $9,000. I don't know I got one email, and I spoke last month. The day after I talked to you, I got one email. Since then, they said separation determination. I haven't heard anything. But nothing's changed.
Hi, Tia. Yeah, it sounds very frustrating. We absolutely understand that, and I am glad to hear that you did hear from someone. However, that means they're making progress on your case. As long as they got the information they needed to, that from you and your employer, and it makes it sound like you do know that your employer did get back to us, so that's good. Staff are just going to look at the situation and make a decision. If they have any outstanding questions or something doesn't match up between what you said and what your employer said, they would have to reach back out to either one of you. But as long as they have what they need, a decision should be forthcoming. And actually, the collection of the information is usually what takes the longest. Once we have the information, just making a decision on the claim and sending the determination is actually the easy part. It's the faster part. It's acquiring everything we need that usually takes a while. So it has sounded like it's been a while for you. So there should be something coming soon, especially if someone did reach out to you via email. That means they probably have what they need now.
All right. Next question comes from Sean, who joins us on the line. Welcome to the call, Sean. What's your question?
I got a question. Now, I was unemployed August 1st, 8th, and 15th due to COVID-19. I went back to work part-time August 18th, and I'm still trying to get this information together because I don't even know.
Hi, Sean. So if you were unemployed at a certain point, and you have returned to work, you are still potentially qualified for unemployment benefits for those weeks that you were unemployed. Normally Pennsylvania has, in our law, and our regulations, we have reporting requirements, which means that you have to, apply for benefits timely. You can't wait a few weeks, blah, blah, blah. But during the pandemic, there's certain things that have allowed us to be able to give retroactive payments to individuals because it's been difficult for individuals to get a hold of us. So in order to apply for retroactive benefits, you would just have to file either, call staff if you don't have internet, or you can file over the internet. The problem, though, with filing over the internet, if you're looking for retroactive weeks, it's going to set up your claim as of this week. So whenever you submit your application, it's going to set it up for the current week. So it actually might be better for you to get a hold of someone to file that claim. And of course, it is still difficult to use the phone and get a hold of someone. We have more staff helping us all the time, but we still have a ton of calls coming in. So if that's the case and you can't get a hold of someone, you may as well open the claim online. Your last day of work will be the last day of work before you were unemployed. So that's what we're looking for. You don't want to put in like a current date, because then the system's going to be confused. It'll say, but you're not unemployed. What are you doing? So instead, you want to put what the last day of work was before that 3-week period of unemployment you were talking about. And then you would have to send a separate email to tell us, hey, I opened my claim, but I understand, I'm not looking for benefits right now. I'm looking for benefits for these weeks. Please backdate my claim, and then we'll be able to do that. We actually do have backdating instructions on our website. I know for sure they're on the Pua page, but they apply to regular UC as well. You just have to send an email to the uchelp@pa.gov account instead of the Pua account. And you just have to give us your information and say why you want to backdate. I also will mention that you could also, if depending on what your unemployment is due to, if it was at all due to COVID-related reasons, you could also be eligible for the LWA program for those weeks. So that would be on top of your regular UC benefits. And you can indicate that in your email, and then staff are actually able to make sure that think of it as a switch behind the scenes. They can make sure that switch is on for you to make sure that you get the LWA payments as well.
All right, we're joined now by Sarah. Welcome to the call, Sarah. Go ahead with your question. Hello, Sarah. Like we might have lost Sarah. We'll try and get her back. Moving on now, we're joined by Frank. Mr. Frank, welcome to the call. What is your question, sir?
Oh, thank you for taking my call. I have been receiving weekly unemployment benefits since April with a determination that gave me a maximum amount. In August, I went back to work on a partial status where some weeks I would earn more than I was entitled to, and I would have $0 coming out. However, when I look at my claim status, and I checked it recently, there's federal withholding and the benefit fee being pulled out of weeks that I get $0 of unemployment. Why is that?
Hi, Frank. The federal withholding is always 10%. So actually, for weeks when you don't get a payment, there wouldn't be a deduction. So I'm kind of wondering what it is, that you're seeing online versus what's actually happening. So it would be, if you get any type of payment, it is 10% of the total payment, which would be, $47 if you're, I'm assuming your weekly benefit rate is $470. So even if you receive a few dollars, it might actually be all wiped out by the 10% federal withholding. However, for weeks when there's zero, there would be nothing to withhold from because there's no payment. So that's actually interesting. It might be worth sending us an email at uchelp@pa.gov just to question it, because it's, I understand when it's less, when it's 47 or less based on your earnings, that we would probably take the whole amount because it has to stay at that flat 10% of your weekly benefit rate. But when there's a zero payment, I don't believe that should be coming out. So just shoot us a quick email. The emails, the secretary had mentioned in his opening remarks, we just sent our 1 millionth email last week. So we're making great progress on emails. So it's not taking quite as long as it was a couple months ago for individuals to get replies. So just send the quick information to verify with someone and make sure, everything's functioning the way it should.
All right. Our next caller is Heather. Heather, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call. My husband was on UC benefits, and it ran out, so they put him on the PEUC. So he went back to work as of the week of August 16th. Would he still be eligible for the lost wages for the weeks ending August 1st, 8th, and 15th? And if he was, does he have to apply, or would it automatically generate since he was already on it?
Hi, Heather. So if he was on, it sounded like he was on PEUC, in which case he would have to apply it. As long as he was unrelated, as long as he was unemployed due to COVID-related reasons for those first 3 weeks in August, that'd be August 1st, August 8th, and August 15th, then he would be eligible to receive the LWA benefit. And the way that it's set up for individuals to apply is you would log into your biweekly filing portal like normal, like you're going in to file your biweekly claims. So for individuals who are currently filing, It won't give you the option to file if it's not your week for filing. So if, we had about half of the claimants apply this week because that's, when it was their time to file. Individuals who aren't seeing the button yet, that's because it's not your time to file yet. You'll be able to apply for LWA next week when it's your time to file. So for individuals, though, who aren't filing anymore because they've gone back to work and their weeks are no longer set up for filing, he should be able to go in at any time and fill in the application. Again, you just use your PIN and Social Security number in order to get in like you normally would as if you were filing biweekly claims. And there will be a blue button there that says Apply for LWA. So you can go in and it's just 2 questions, and it asks, do you want to apply for this benefit? And were you unemployed for COVID-related reasons? So, once you answer those questions and you save it or submit it, you'll get an automated email that is like your confirmation that you've submitted it. And then the payments will be made. They're made for all of you who are familiar with how the $600 FPUC payments were made. It's being made in the same way. So the department actually makes those payments every Thursday night, which means that you typically see them in your account Monday or Tuesday of the next week. So these are done the same way, so you'll see them about the same time. So, you can try going in right now and filing that application. And, then once we have your answers, we're able to make the payments.
So I just checked the clock. It looks like we're coming to the end of this live call. We want to thank you for participating in today's Pennsylvania's L&I Town Hall. We appreciate the opportunity to speak directly with you as well as answer your questions. Now let's go ahead and get some closing comments from Secretary Oleksiak.
Thank you, Dirk, and thank you, Susan, for your usual expertise. We appreciate those of you who join us. We hope we're able to answer some of your questions, particularly around the lost wages assistance grant. We will continue to update folks as we have further information. Thank you.
For the Pennsylvania Labor and Industry updates, please visit www.uc.pa.gov. And once again, if we weren't able to address your question today, please send an email to uchelp@pa.gov. Again, that email address, uchelp@pa.gov. Truly a heartfelt thank you to everyone for taking the time to participate in this call. We hope you stay healthy and safe and have a spectacular day.